But I just had to connect with you guys and let you know that I'm still alive. Now in the background you see a patch, and that's what we're going to be looking at today and talking about, is to provide information that patchers of modular synthesizers do not cover in other videos. There's plenty of videos on YouTube giving you your startup patch, which is basically your generic patch that matches those of normal analog synths that are hardwired. That arrangement generates most of the normal tones that you would require when playing conventional music. Many times users just generate noise when they patch randomly, and that may be quite fine too. It just depends on what you're trying to do with your synth and what you actually want to achieve with it. Synthesis that we've been talking about on this channel has been largely imitative synthesis, where we're trying to imitate a real world sound. But what about generating some sounds that have never been heard before, except what your preconceived notion in your head as to how it should sound? That's the process that we're going to be focusing on today. Now first of all, the pitch and gate are coming out of our main MIDI module into a multiple. The pitch from our MIDI module is going to 4 places, as you can see. This one here, this one here, this one here, and this one here. 4 places we are sending the pitch from our MIDI module. This is just a multiple to provide us with more plugs. So we are going to each of our 3 oscillators here on the 1 volt per octave, as you can see. 1 volt per octave on each of our 3 oscillators. And then we're also going to the 1 volt per octave. We're also going to the 1 volt per octave on the filter, and that accounts for the pitch. Then the gate now is only going 2 places down here on the multiple. As you can see, these 2 red ones coming out here, and this one here connects us to the gate. So the gate is going to 2 places, and of course it's going to our 2 envelope generators here, right? 2 envelope generators. Now the output of each of these 2 envelope generators, one of them is going to the filter here. So that's able to regulate the frequency of our filter in terms of time. And the other one is going to our voltage control amplifier, or VCA here, where we've got control input here. And that is that. Now, the output of our low pass filter here, as you can see, is going into our envelope generator, and the output here is going to our sound system. So it's a fairly simple signal path, as you can see. Now here on the filter input, we have 2 inputs are provided. One doesn't have any attenuator, and one has an attenuator, right? So the attenuator here is going to the pulse output of our oscillator, one of the oscillators, and the other unregulated input to the filter is going to our fancy plus mixer down here, where we're only mixing 2 things really. We are coming out here on the orange, and we are mixing the output of the other oscillator here and the other oscillator here. So essentially we've got 3 oscillators going through 3 attenuators into our filter. So far so good. You're following that. I should be following that. And the only other thing we need to do now is to tune these oscillators. Well, we can tune them in unison, or we can tune the 3 oscillators to major chord. So that's what we decided to do. We decided to tune the 3 oscillators to major chord, right? So we selected the lowest C on the keyboard, which allows us to have 0 volts so that we're not affecting any of the oscillators from the MIDI interface. We're not affecting the oscillators. So we tuned this oscillator here, as you can see. There, this oscillator here. We tuned this to C, right? And you can see the C because our tuning is pretty much at 0, huh? So this allows us this frequency to tune here of our oscillator. We've got them all set on the 32 foot, but we're tuning here to practically 0. Then for our oscillator that's going to do the E, we're tuning it up a major third, so you can see that that one there is set slightly off. You can see it's near the end of it. It's like about rung +3, as you can see there. So that's our E. Now for our third oscillator we want to reach G, but unfortunately we can't reach G with the tuning control because the tuning control doesn't rotate far enough to give us G. So what we have to do is we tune it basically to C, and we use our standards module here. We use our standard module to raise it a few semitones, as you can see. Right, so we raise it some semitones here, and we come out here with the yellow cable, and that also goes into sum up. As you can see, we have three inputs, 3 1 volt per octave inputs on the exponential frequency of these oscillators. Let me see if I can find one. Here's one that's not being used. Right, we have three inputs here on the exponential frequency of our oscillators, and if we turn that level up to all, they'll all be of equal level, allegedly. So that's what we've done down here on this. That's what we've done on this oscillator, okay? So we're using all three. One comes from the standards module to up it a little bit. One comes from the MIDI interface, and the other one comes from something else we're going to discuss right now. Okay, so the third input into the oscillators to raise the frequency is coming from this multiple under here, where you can see it's coming through this orange cable, and it's going over to our signal processor. And as you can see, our signal processor, both sections of our signal processor are working. We've got the output of the first section going into the input of the second section, and the output of the second section going into our multiple. So what's really happening here with the signal processor is that because there's no input on this on this section of the signal processor, our rotation here on the offset, you can see it has an offset, that carries us from -5 volts to +5 volts. But we don't want such a wide sweep in our oscillators, so what we do is, by bringing it into the second section of the signal processor, we cut it down. We cut down on the gain. Now it's a very subtle cut that we did with our voltmeter, because that's the only way you're going to get it right for frequency. As you can see, it's approximately 25% there, because remember, this gain here now goes from 0, 50%, 100%. So actually we have it at like about just maybe 25% or less. So we're getting a little positive gain, but it's below 100%, so it's actually carrying down the signal. So when I rotate the offset to the full 5 volt range, much less is coming out, maybe only about 2 volts. So that way this is gives a more accurate setting here. And what is the purpose of all this fancy setup on the oscillators? Well, it allows us to sweep it up and down manually with a knob, basically. So we have two ways to listen to our chords, if you want to call it that. One by pressing a key on the keyboard, and the other by sweeping it with the offset. So what does it sound like? Well, remember we are only getting major chords here, but this is how it would sound if I play over a whole octave. And of course, we can vary it with the knob. So you've just heard a perfect major chord, well, a whole set of perfect major chords. The interval has been maintained as a major third and a perfect fifth. Now in the next video, we got to give you something to look forward to. In the next video, we're going to show you how to, with a very simple modification, introduce the minor chords.